If you'd ever like to hear these recordings, you can go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube. There's hundreds of them from just about every lecture that I give. And the response I get is that people really like them. They get a lot out of them. And, it's not just recording them for the sake of recording them. They have a real purpose. So I know on YouTube, there's a lot of them. On Facebook, they're the recordings I do in the classes here in the United States, in the Americas, and then the ones that are in Europe and in Israel. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Okay, somebody, no questions? Okay. Questions are often good because they open up areas of energy that,
I will try to ask. I'm not so good in English. Because of that, I cannot ask you often.
Well, go ahead. You're better in English than I am in Norwegian. Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you. But I felt very good in beginning with meditation and everything. And now in last minutes, I felt that I have to give up my role like mother, Albanish mother. I feel, is it true that you have, like I felt I have that role from maybe 1,000 years before, and now I'm living in Norway 30 years, and I can't be a Norwegian mother. I do maybe much more than I have to do for my kids, and now I feel tired. And I felt.
What I'm discussing is you just love them and let them go, leave them be, let them find their own way. It's the only way they're going to adjust to living in the world and learning how to live in a very difficult world that we live in. I have to do that with my daughter. I just love her and let her find her life. And I kind of detach myself a little bit and I let her just do it, and she's going to make mistakes and has to learn from them. And I think it's really a very good way of approaching children. Otherwise, we try to keep them shelter them from life. I'm not talking like 5-year-old children, 8-year-old, but when children get into their 20s, and they have to really, they have to be let go of so they can experience life. They can find out what their lives are really all about. Also, it makes you very strong to be able to love somebody and not have to control them, to let them just be. I have to do that every day with my daughter. Sometimes, it's not easy.
I don't feel that I am controlling them. Maybe I do. They were leaving home very early because we didn't have a good home. It was conflict and everything. But I make food for them. I am thinking.
Something in you hasn't let go. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel anxious and full of that anxiety. Something in you hasn't gotten strong enough to give your children their own independence. And that is part of what the meditation is about, to build that kind of inner strength. And I think it's very important. Again, I'm not talking about 6, 7, 8-year-old children. When kids become 20, 25, 30 years old, if we don't let go of them, they'll always be crippled in life. They have to find out. They really have to find out. And it's a different generation now. When I was a kid, everybody left home. The biggest thing you could do is go find an apartment, live on your own, go travel. We live in a world that's very expensive. That's very different today than it was when I was younger. Please try it, Lisa, try and sit up and do the meditation. It's a very different world today. And I think children have to learn how to deal with this world, or this world will cripple them. It will cripple them, and we can't protect them from it. They have to learn how to get strong enough to deal with the kind of world they were born into. And I mean, look, when I was a kid, you go into Manhattan, you get an apartment, $40 a month. At 18 years old, I could afford that. I got a job and, you make a little money and you can pay your rent every month. Today, the expenses are exorbitant and extraordinary. And kids are in a much more fearful world than they were when I was younger. And they have to learn how to deal with this. They have to learn how to get strong enough to be, otherwise they're going to go through life, cowering and being afraid of all the events and things that life brings to them.
I have big fear in my heart, especially for the oldest one.
Well, stop being afraid. Let him go. Let him find his life. And he's going to have trouble and problems and this and that, but it's all right, Can't tell you what I've been through in my life. And my father died when I was very young, but my mother never, held on to me. It's your life, go live it, she told me. And I tried, and finally it all began to work out. I discovered what I was born here to do, and I pursued it in a very deep and profound way, never put it off. And it was certainly not what career counseling at a university would have suggested as the way I should live my life, But it worked out. So what I'm saying is, it's wonderful and really important to love children. At a certain point, we have to let go of them. We have to let them, really find their life and find a way of dealing with this crazy world we live in. It's not the same world. I mean, the world was crazy when I was younger. We had Vietnam, we had all kinds of problems in the world, drugs and this and that, but it's different today. It's very different today. And for some reason, the souls of our children will, they decided to be born into this kind of world. COVID-19 and, wars in Afghanistan and the problems with the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I mean, it's like a nightmare if you think about it. But then we all have to get strong enough to be able to deal with this, including our children. And if we don't allow them and help them get that kind of inner strength, you understand, they will be crippled by this world. It's too powerful. And money doesn't do that. Money often turns them into cripples. I've met so many people that I'll never forget a guy. He used to be a client of mine years ago, and this guy was like the Buddha talking to me, and I had this guy was worth 15, $20 billion, 25 years ago. His family was worth that. I won't mention who they are, what they are, but you would all know them. And I'll never forget, I got this great sculpture that would be perfect for his collection. Called him up and said, come on over, and take a look at it. Come to my loft, take a look at it. So he comes off the elevator into my loft, bitching and complaining about everything. There was nothing right about the world. I mean, this guy's worth $15 billion, and there was nothing right about life. And I finally couldn't listen to him anymore. And I said, look, what are you complaining? It was the right sperm, for God's sake. You were just born into all of this. What are you complaining about? You have everything that almost everyone on the earth would want to have. And he looks me in the eye, and this really stern voice says, you want it? You want it? And I'll never forget that. It was like the Buddha telling me the delusion of money. You know, how money just cripples people. Not that we shouldn't have money, we have to support ourselves and live in the world. But when it becomes God, it becomes a crippling energy. And children have to learn this also, because so many of them have this belief that money is going to resolve everything. It doesn't. Love resolves everything. A strong inner life resolves everything. Connection with God resolves everything. And our children have to learn this in their own time. They have to learn it in their own time. They have to go through whatever they have to go through in order to ultimately learn what really makes life worthwhile. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have money and success and family and all that. You know, it's important. We need to have things like that. Very important for life. But the connection with God, spirit, that kind of inner strength is irreplaceable by anything of a material nature. And that allows everything else to be possible on a high level. That allows us to love people in our life unconditionally. And we have to love them unconditionally because you never know what they're going to do. From minute to minute, you never know what they're going to do. And that's, I think, a very great way to approach one's children. Unconditional love. And you got to be really strong inside to do that. And let them go. Let them find out. Let them make mistakes. Let them discover what they're here to do in their life. And, you know, you help them along the way, and you a little advice, a little wisdom, a little, but they have to experience their own lives. And this is not easy for parents. It's really not, especially in the world we live in today. For the same apartment I paid $40 a month for, today goes for $4,000 a month. You know, it's unbelievable how the world has changed. $40 is $4,000 now, $3,000. But children need to get strong enough to deal with this. And they don't get that kind of strength by us always protecting them. They get that kind of strength by really learning about life and ultimately learning what they have to do to build an inner life that's strong enough to deal with all this nonsense that goes on in the world. I mean, every time you pick up, you know, Afghanistan, look at the horror that's going on there. You know, hundreds of thousands of people. And they're all trying to blame politicians. And I don't think anybody could have resolved that one. I don't care who they were. You know, this was bound to happen. It was a mistake for people to be there doing what they were doing. So what I'm saying is it's just one thing after the other that we have to do. And our children need to get strong enough to deal with this. I mean, I had a cousin who called me up. This is really like last week. I haven't seen this cousin since I'm 10 years old. That's really a long time ago. Called me up. Oh, I saw you on Google and you're a famous guy. And he turned out to be a nice guy. And we had a wonderful conversation. But it really, I mean, here's a man who is, you know, I mean, virtually crippled in life, you know? Instead of, as you get older, getting stronger and more capable of, you know, no training, no inner development. And I had, you know, I mean, I have nothing against him or anything. I enjoyed the conversation. I'll have another one with him soon, you know, but it was just really heart-rendering. You know, I walk with a cane, I can't go, I can't do this, I can't do that. So what I'm saying is that age, time, it takes its toll. Our children will get older. They need to learn how to get stronger enough to deal with a difficult world so that difficult world doesn't cripple them. And money and all that, which most of them project as the goal to all their problems, is going to cripple them ultimately if they don't have something stronger inside themselves. And again, it doesn't negate money or success or having big house and family. It doesn't. But all of that requires energy. It requires strength to be able to deal with it without it sucking all our life out of us. And then it becomes unconditional love, which is truly the ultimate goal, to love life unconditionally. But you know how strong you have to be inside to do that? To not be angry at people and things and all the stuff that goes on. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
You know, I mean, look, it's very interesting how less and less people are coming to these classes. And the interesting thing to me is these classes are getting deeper and stronger. The things I talk about are coming from another depth of understanding and spiritual growth. And yet they're getting smaller and smaller, which is really interesting to me. But whoever comes is going to benefit from this because, I mean, I've been having classes in person with people now, and they're unbelievable. The power of these classes are unbelievable. You know, people that have come, here, not a lot of people, but, from different parts of the United States. And the classes are really powerful, and they're getting stronger and stronger. And I'm hoping that you all benefit from this. Don't take this for granted because I'm telling you, I am just completely floored by what is taking place now in terms of the depth of the classes. And I wish to God I could sit with all of you in person and do this because I can't tell you how it's a different energy. It's really deep and rich, and these are deep and rich too, but it goes even better, I wish I could take everyone here and have you sitting in person with me and doing the kind of classes that I'm doing with people. It's wonderful. So take advantage of this. I mean it, because it's nothing to take for granted. And I'm finding that it's something kind of miraculous that's taking place now. And I'm very grateful for it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, and God bless you all. And thank you, Flora, for your question, because it really brought out a lot of good stuff.
Thank you for your answer.
God bless you all. And I hope to see you soon. The classes are always open to new students if they want to come. If you know anyone, they're welcome. And bless you. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see everybody on Sunday.
Thank you, Stuart.